Look, part of the ends of seasons are the firings of coaches. In this particular case, it's Monty Williams. Just, by the way, they lose Game 6 to the Nuggets, but just as a reminder, did take the team to the 21 finals, was Coach of the Year in 2022. Now he's without a gig. Shams, the dismissal of Monty Williams, was it just as simple as Game 6?
Well, I'm told this was unequivocally an organizational decision, from ownership to management, top to bottom. I think when you look at it, Monty Williams, 4 years there, they made it to the NBA Finals, got to the second round a couple times, and you have to give Monty Williams a lot of credit for the culture that he established there and what he's done the last 4 years, turning them from the bottom-dwelling teams of the league to being a team that's highly, highly competitive. But this is a team that's trying to compete for championships, and anytime there's an ownership change, Matt Ishbia is now the owner. That's just the business of basketball. There's new ownership. There's a championship-level focus now. Matt Ishbia, James Jones. I expect them to be very aggressive in the marketplace, to go find a new program builder, someone that they know, someone that they trust, someone that they want to turn the keys to, that can have respect, accountability with the players, have offensive creativity. I think those are all going to be prerogatives for the Suns in their next head coach. And this is an ownership that is pretty resourceful. They're eating 3 years and $21 million on Monty Williams' contract. So I think it's obvious. They're fine going out there and spending a lot of money. This is a destination job with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker locked in for the long term. Couple names I would look at pretty strongly here. Tyronn Lue, head coach of the Clippers. He's the Suns' #1 target from what I'm told. It all just depends on how Ty Lue's conversations go with the Clippers in the aftermath of this disappointing season in LA, and the potential of him signing a contract extension with the Clippers. Where do those conversations go this week? I think they will ramp up even more. And another guy to keep an eye on, Nick Nurse, former coach of the Raptors, won Coach of the Year, won a championship in Toronto. I would expect them to ultimately interview 6 to 7 candidates for this open position.
God, that's the Ty Lue one's interesting, because you've got 2 superstars in LA, but they're never available. Then you move over here with 2 superstars who seem to be more available. But new owner, a coach that guys seem to like. How risky of a move is this?
It's really risky, especially not knowing the market for coaches. And I would think one of the coaches you wanted, he just signed with the Houston Rockets, Ime Udoka, and that was never available to you. Another coach you want, Tyronn Lue, he's on a team now. So it's either going to cost you draft picks now, or if he resigns and then signs it to you, and then the NBA investigates and whatever, it might cost you draft picks later when they penalize you. But it's tough. And you look at the job market, who is the right coach for this team? What even is this team? They have a ton of questions to answer this offseason, but I think Shams is right. It's a destination that people in the league love. Everybody loves Arizona. You got 2 mega stars on that team, and even though they flamed out just now, it's enticing for a coach to go, what can I do with KD and Devin Booker and a blank slate? So, I mean, they'll be at it for a while, I'd imagine. And, somebody's going to land a good gig, but they're going to have a ton of pressure when they get out there, because it's championship or bust for that team and that owner right now.
I think, too, as well, we're bringing up everybody in regards to, like, Tyronn Lue, but a blank slate, I believe Steve Ballmer's going to come with a blank check and keep Tyronn Lue. He's not letting that guy walk away. But I think it's a great job to have. You have KD in the last few years of in his prime, along with Devin Booker. And I think if you get, some more, energy around there, some more defenders, and, a little bit more depth, you'll be playing deep into playoffs every single year. And the environment and the new energy is going to be great.
Look, you guys know how I feel about getting paid to not work. I mean, 3 years, $21 million, I'm in. I'm all in, sign me up. But Monty Williams might not want to just chill. He might want to go right back to work. Shams, what's the market for him outside of Phoenix?
Yeah, I think he is going to take time. Like you just said, Michelle, he's going to take time with this decision after this firing. I'm told he's fully focused on his family. That's who his call was to first, was to his family members about him losing his job, and I think he's going to spend that time. But listen, the Bucks will pursue Monty Williams, from what I'm told, pretty aggressively. I think he's near or at the top of their list after they fired Mike Budenholzer. They're going through their own interview process as well, but if he's ready to coach immediately, I think he's going to be at the top of their list. I think the Detroit Pistons will show a level of interest. Toronto Raptors. The Pistons are going through their own search. They just interviewed 3 finalists. But if you have a guy like Monty Williams available, you're Tom Gores, you have to take a look at a guy like that if he wants to come and be on this upstart, rebuilding young organization and have a blank slate, 4 or 5 year contract potentially. So I do think there will be significant interest in Monty Williams in the marketplace.
I love when this happens, like musical chairs, and then there's a new hot coach available, so he jumps up to the top of the list, and everyone moves down. But let's look at the roster itself, Eddie. So Deandre Ayton, it's been just an up and down ride for him. Didn't seem to always maybe get along with his coach. Do you expect him to stay in Phoenix?
I don't, and it's not because I have any information, but it's just team building exercise. This is the asset they can get the most for. We don't even know what his value is at this point, but they were willing to let him go last summer. They've had issues with him before. It's just leading down that road. Now, it's if they can find a market for him, what can you get for him? What can you get for the nearly $30 million he'll make next season? That's how they're going to have to build this new roster. With the way he flamed out in the playoffs as well, it's not all a great sign. I just think he won't be because this is the best move they have available to them to make.
Yeah, I agree. I think another thing as well, like you see on the bench a couple of times, you see Deandre, historically getting into it with some of the players and everything. But like I said, when you turn a corner and, every team has leaders. So when you're kind of stagnant with or not having miscommunications with Kevin Durant or Devin Booker, I think anything is going to be wavy or murky. So I think he might be in a position where he'll be somewhere where he'll be more happy as opposed to being there. I think you get something in return, 2 or 3 pieces for less money that might go hard and play harder for a bigger goal because clearly DeAndre wants to have his own team. And it's just not the space with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and you can get a lot out of that position, and people are going to help and put them in position to be championship contenders. That's the number one thing.
It's a position that's massive in that conference as well. You look at what the Warriors do with Kevon Looney and his rebounding.
Or even back in the day, Clint Capella.
Yeah.
Just in Houston. Just step up and accept your role,
And it's like, and then obviously you deal with Jokic, and then you deal with Anthony Davis, the 2 semifinalists right now. You have to have a great, solid center out there, and it's frustrating, has to be frustrating for the organization to say, did Jock Landale outplay our former number 1 overall pick in this series that we just lost? And that's not great. He's lucky Marvin Bagley got drafted number 2 in that draft because he's also the guy who was drafted ahead of Trae Young and Luka Doncic. And now look, a year into his second contract, we're talking about is he going to be traded from the team that picked him number 1 overall?
And it's not been a smooth road for any of it anyway.
No.
It's been, does he even want to be here? CP3, still a starting point guard?
I feel like I feel like he makes his own rules, to be honest with you. So when it comes down to whether I thought so or not, he's starting. And I think to his credit, he knows a lot about basketball. I mean, he's a leader on the court. He's a floor general. And, to a certain extent, he's an intricate part of whatever team he's on. So I just don't see – it took like 2 extra years for Steph Curry to make the All-Star game because of CP3. So for him to lose his starting spot, I don't ever see that happening. So he'll get a Tony Romo type vibe.
Could be somewhere where they'll let him start.
That's
they'll let
true.
him bring the ball up and do his CP stuff. Look, we're talking about a guy who literally changed the CBA in a way to benefit him and make him more money.
Brilliant.
He's going to go out his own way.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's in Phoenix or somewhere else, but he's going to get his. He's going to make sure of it.
Brilliant. Taking a quick break here. When we come back, the Lakers blew out the Warriors. I will take a restroom break. Eddie will take over the show. Is the dynasty over, or is it just on pause? When Run It Back returns.